All right, so are you ready? Today we are diving deep into something that pretty much everyone can relate to,
Yeah.
celebrating those big relationship milestones.
Oh, yeah.
Birthdays, anniversaries, date nights,
A whole 9 yards.
the whole shebang.
Yeah,
The occasions that can either like make or break a week, depending on how they go.
for sure.
You've given us quite the puzzle to solve here.
Absolutely.
Is there a right way to even approach these celebrations? Should they all have their own distinct vibe? Or is there something to be said for consistency?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Hmm.
And what's so fascinating is that each of these occasions kind of pulls us in different directions.
Okay.
Birthdays, right?
Yeah.
They're all about celebrating the individual, their unique quirks, their growth, their journey so far.
Yeah, yeah.
Anniversaries, on the other hand, that's all about the us.
Okay.
The shared experiences, the challenges overcome, the love story that you're writing together.
You're building something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there were those all-important date nights, which are really like the heartbeat of the relationship, keeping that connection strong and vibrant.
Keeping the spark alive.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got these three distinct like celebration zones, each with its own flavor.
I love that. Celebration zones.
Our source material really leans into that idea of honoring those differences.
Hmm.
And for some pretty compelling reasons. I mean, logically, a birthday bash for your partner might not hit the same way as a romantic anniversary dinner, right?
You're absolutely right. It's not just about the activity itself. It's also the deeper meaning behind it.
Oh, for sure.
And, each celebration carries a different emotional weight, too. Think about it. Birthdays, they often come with a lot of pressure to make the person feel extra special,
Yeah.
loved, cherished. It's their day, right?
Their day.
Anniversaries, though, I feel like they often bring up reflections on the past year.
Mm.
You think about the highs, the lows, maybe even anxieties about the future of the relationship.
Right.
Date nights, ideally, are a bit lighter. They're about reconnecting in a more relaxed, playful way, keeping the spark alive, but without the pressure of a major milestone.
Oh, absolutely. I remember one year I went all out for my partner's birthday, planning this elaborate surprise party.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I was nailing it, best partner of the year award and all. But it turned out they were really hoping for just like a quiet, intimate dinner that year.
Oh, no.
Let's just say the mismatched expectations led to some awkward moments
Yeah.
and a lot of leftover cake.
That's a perfect example of how, misaligned expectations can really throw things off. And the source material even dives into some psychology here,
Okay.
touching on the concept of love languages.
Yes.
You've probably heard of those, right?
Mhm.
Acts of service, words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, physical touch.
Yeah, yeah,
The idea is that we all have different ways that we feel loved and appreciated.
for sure.
And a grand gesture that screams love to one person, it might not land the same way for another.
Totally.
So it's all about figuring that out.
Makes total sense. So by tailoring the celebration to the occasion, you're also kind of better equipped to cater to your partner's individual love language,
That's a great way to put it.
which could mean the difference between a good celebration and a truly great one.
100%.
So score one for team distinction so far,
Yeah.
right? But hang on a second, because our source material doesn't just drop the mic there.
Right.
There's a whole argument for consistency too, and I bet admit it's pretty compelling.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot to be said for having a more unified approach to celebrating your relationship. Think about it. If you consistently carve out quality time for each other,
Okay.
regardless of the specific occasion, you're constantly reaffirming that bond.
Hmm.
You're keeping that feeling of intimacy alive. It's like building a solid foundation for your relationship,
Yeah.
brick by brick, week after week.
And you know what? I think there's a real sense of freedom that comes with consistency too.
Oh, tell me more.
Taking away that pressure to make every single occasion over the top special,
Right.
it allows you to focus on what really matters.
Yeah.
Just being together, enjoying each other's company. It becomes less about the performance of the celebration and more about the genuine connection.
Exactly. And let's not forget the practical benefit.
The logistics.
If you and your partner, find a celebration style that you both genuinely enjoy,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's trying new restaurants or exploring local hiking trails or just cozying up for game night.
I love that.
Planning these occasions becomes so much easier.
Yeah,
Takes the guesswork out of it,
totally.
and it frees up more mental space to actually enjoy the celebration.
I'm starting to see the appeal of team consistency here. It's like
What?
having a trusty go-to playbook for keeping the love alive no matter what the occasion.
I love that analogy.
But before we get too comfy in either camp,
Yeah.
I think we should hear from some folks who've actually navigated these celebratory
Yes,
waters.
sir.
The source material includes these fascinating snippets from listener calls where couples are sharing their own unique approaches. What stood out to you from those calls?
Oh, those were a gold mine. What struck me most was the incredible diversity of perspectives.
Really?
I mean, you had one listener who was all about those extravagant birthday bashes.
Okay.
Think confetti, balloons, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
Really shower the individual with love and attention.
Yeah.
But for anniversaries, they preferred something much more low-key and intimate, like a quiet dinner at their favorite restaurant,
Okay.
to reflect on their journey as a couple.
Right. And then there was that other caller who prioritized consistent quality time above all else. Didn't
Yes.
matter if it was a birthday anniversary or just a random Tuesday.
Yeah.
They were all about creating those shared experiences, those little pockets of connection as often as possible. It was
Yes.
like celebrating the relationship itself in a way.
I love that. And then we had that listener who really saw each occasion as serving a unique purpose in the relationship.
Oh, okay.
Birthdays were for honoring individual growth and aspirations, anniversaries for taking stock of their shared journey and reaffirming their commitment, and date nights for pure, fun, and lighthearted connection.
Wow.
They had this beautiful way of weaving those different threads together, recognizing the unique value of each type of celebration.
You know, hearing those diverse perspectives really hammers home the point that there's no one-size-fits-all answer here, right?
Absolutely not.
Each couple has to figure out what works best for them, taking into account their personalities, their needs, their shared history,
Equally.
and even, like you said, their love languages.
Love languages are so important.
So where do we go from here?
Well,
How do we take all this information and turn it into something actionable for our listener who's trying to figure out how to best celebrate their own relationship?
let's get into it. Well, that's the golden question, right?
Yeah.
And luckily, our source material dives into some really practical tips for finding that sweet spot.
Okay.
And it all starts with, you guessed it, communication.
Communication is key.
Yeah, and we're not just talking about a quick, hey, what do you want to do for your birthday?
Yeah.
It's about having like a deeper conversation with your partner about what each of these occasions truly means to them.
Right.
What are their expectations? What kind of vibe are they hoping for?
Yeah.
What would make them feel truly celebrated?
Okay, so it's about like really tuning into their emotional wavelength, understanding what makes them tick when it comes to these celebrations.
Yeah.
I can see how that sets a much stronger foundation for planning anything, really.
Yeah.
But wouldn't those conversations get kind of heavy? I mean, like dissecting the meaning of birthdays.
It doesn't have to be like a super serious therapy session.
Right.
But, the source material does offer a really cool communication technique here. It's called reflective listening. And it's all about going beyond just hearing the words your partner is saying and really trying to understand the emotions and needs behind those words.
Okay.
So instead of just nodding along when they say, I want to go out for my birthday,
Right.
you dig a little deeper. You ask things like, what is it about going out that feels celebratory to you?
Hmm.
Or what are you hoping to feel or experience on your birthday?
Oh, that's so smart. It's like you're taking those surface level desires and translating them into a deeper understanding of what truly matters to your partner.
Yes, exactly.
It takes a bit more effort, but I can see how it could lead to like a much more meaningful celebrations.
100%.
Much deeper.
And, once you've got a handle on each other's expectations and desires, don't be afraid to get creative and kind of blend those different approaches we were talking about.
Okay.
Maybe you decide that birthdays are for going all out,
Yeah.
big parties, extravagant gifts, the whole shebang, because that's what makes your partner feel truly seen and cherished.
Oh.
But for anniversaries, you opt for something more intimate and reflective,
Okay.
like a weekend getaway to a place that holds special meaning for you both. Or even just a quiet evening at home, reminiscing over old photos and sharing your hopes for the future.
Oh, I love that idea of customizing your celebrations to what feels right for each of you.
Yeah.
It's like taking the best of both worlds, team distinction, team consistency,
Right, yeah.
and creating something truly unique to your relationship.
Precisely. And speaking of unique,
Yes.
our source material also encourages couples to establish personalized traditions.
Traditions.
Yeah, and these can be big or small, but the key is that they feel authentic to your relationship and bring you both joy.
Okay.
Maybe it's the tradition of writing each other heartfelt letters on your anniversary,
Oh.
or trying a new activity together for each birthday, or maybe it's as simple as Always sharing your favorite dessert on date nights.
The letter writing tradition is so sweet.
It is.
I can totally picture those letters becoming cherished keepsakes over the years.
Oh, yeah.
Little snapshots of your love story unfolding. And, the beauty of these traditions is that they can evolve as your relationship does.
Right.
You're not locked into doing the same thing year after year if it no longer feels right.
That's such an important point. Relationships are dynamic,
They are.
ever-evolving things,
Right.
and so should the ways we celebrate them.
For sure.
Tradition should be a source of joy and connection, not a rigid set of rules you feel obligated to follow.
Yes.
If something starts to feel stale or forced, don't be afraid to shake things up and try something new.
So we've talked about the different approaches, distinction versus consistency. We've heard from other couples, and we've even gotten some great advice on communication and finding that balance. But if we zoom out for a second, what does all of this really mean?
Yeah, that's a good question.
What are we actually trying to achieve with all these celebrations?
That's where it gets really interesting if we connect all this back to the bigger picture.
Okay.
It's not just about finding the perfect formula for birthdays, date nights, and anniversaries. It's about understanding the deeper needs that are being expressed through these celebrations.
Ooh, I like where you're going with this. So it's not just about the cake and presents or the fancy dinners.
Or-
It's
yeah.
about what those things represent within the context of the relationship.
Yeah.
Am I on the right track?
You nailed it. That desire for a lavish birthday party might be a way of saying, I want to feel seen and appreciated for who I am as an individual,
Oh, wow.
while the preference for a quiet anniversary dinner might be expressing a need for deep connection and intimacy,
Oh.
a chance to pause and appreciate how far you've come together.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
It's like each celebration becomes a sort of love language in itself, communicating those unspoken desires and needs.
Exactly. And those needs can shift and change over time,
Yeah.
which is why those open conversations and that willingness to adapt are so crucial.
It's such a great reminder that relationships aren't static. They're constantly evolving.
Right.
And so should the ways we express our love and appreciation for each other.
We can't just assume that what worked last year will automatically work this year.
Absolutely. And the beauty of it all is that by being more mindful and intentional about our celebrations,
Yeah.
we're not just marking another year gone by. We're actively nurturing the relationship, strengthening the bond, and creating memories that will last a lifetime.
So where does our listener fit into all of this?
That's a good question.
How do they figure out which team they're on, or if they even need to pick a side at all?
You know me, I'm all about embracing those beautiful nuances.
Yeah.
It's not about picking a side. It's about understanding what works best for you and your partner, what speaks to your unique dynamic, and being open to evolving together as you go.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
It's like finding your own rhythm as a couple, a celebration style that feels authentic and fulfilling to both of you.
I love that.
And on that note, we want to hear from you, our listener.
What resonates most with you? What kind of celebrations feel most authentic to your relationship? Head over to our social media and let us know. Are you team distinction or team consistency, or have you found that perfect blend? We're dying to know what works for you.
Yeah, tell us about it.
And while you're pondering that, here's a final thought to chew on.
Okay.
What if every single day felt like a celebration of your relationship? Would these big occasions, these birthdays and anniversaries even matter as much?
Whoa.
It makes you think, right? I mean, if you're constantly nurturing that connection, expressing your love and appreciation, and just enjoying each other's company, do those calendar-marked celebrations carry the same weight?
That's a really interesting thought experiment. Imagine a relationship where you're so in tune with each other that every day feels like a celebration.
Yeah.
Maybe those big occasions become less about grand gestures and more about simply acknowledging another year of love and growth and shared experiences.
I can almost feel the pressure lifting just thinking about it. It's like shifting the focus from these intense bursts of celebratory energy to a more sustained, glowing warmth that permeates the entire relationship.
Exactly. It becomes less about the event and more about the ongoing journey that you're sharing.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
It really has.
We've gone from feeling a bit overwhelmed by all the right ways to celebrate to realizing that the most important thing is finding what feels authentic and meaningful for you and your partner.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
A huge thank you to you for joining us on this deep dive into the art of celebrating love. We hope you've walked away with some fresh perspectives.
Yes.
maybe a few practical tips, and most importantly, a renewed sense of excitement for creating those special moments in your own relationship.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure diving in with you.
Likewise.
Until next time, keep those sparks flying.